This hobby has so many interesting layers to it, but one thing that I haven't found particularly exciting is maintenance and servicing my model trains. And as I've got a little bit older, I've grown to appreciate this aspect because every time you visit a heritage railway, you think, well, how do these live museums get kept alive? Voluntary work, overhauls, cleaning, tidying, maintenance, all of those things. And, naturally, my model railway gets dirty, gets run down. A lot of my models need to be taken care of. I've got a total of just over 50 DCC models now. And that takes a lot of time and effort when you're trying to run them every single year. And what I'm going to do in today's video, because it's time to do some maintenance and service some model trains, I'm going to take you through how I clean my track and how I service a model. And I'll also give some tips and advice on things that I've picked up on over the last few years in particular about when to do this. I will also share with you some key advice that I've received from other people in this hobby, and hopefully that will give you a little bit of an idea on when to do this and how you should go about doing it. So let's get into how we're going to do this. So we're going to start by cleaning the track first. Now, the track is probably the most critical area of any model railway. And the reason for that is because that is where 90% of the dirt and grime that ends up on your locomotives and your rolling stock comes from. And naturally, with my layout, I'm constantly moving around the board, which means particularly this front area and the yard gets the most debris. And what I tend to do is do a few things, usually around two devices, which I will show you now. Those are the Peco Track Rubber and the Dapol Track Cleaner. Now, you can just get away with using a Peco Track Rubber because they pretty much clean your rails, no problem at all. But the reason why I invested in the Dapol Track Cleaner is because it can do a variety of different things. It can vacuum the track, it can polish the track, and it can also clean the track. It can do three things in one. And it was worth the investment. I bought it last year and I've never looked back. It's superb. The Peco Track Rubber does come in handy for some elements of my layout, particularly where there's some really hard bit of grime that has been sort of suppressed over time, and that needs to have a bit more friction put on it. And the Peco Track Rubbers are really good for doing that. But mostly I use the Dapol Track Cleaner. What I'm going to do is take you through all of the items, as well as those two things, that I also need to clean and service the models and the track. So to start with, some isopropyl alcohol, some cotton buds and cotton pads, some kind of servicing tool set, I use Hornby's, a layer of bubble wrap, a small screwdriver set, and a shunting locomotive. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to be doing is using the Dapol Track Cleaner to vacuum the rails. Always start with vacuuming before you put any kind of cleaning product or anything on there, because if I was to use this device just to clean the rails without getting rid of some of that loose debris, all it will do is work it into the rails, and eventually your locos will pick this up. So always start with vacuuming. You'll notice that it's got quite a nice compartment to collect the debris. You'll be surprised how much my layout has actually collected later on when you see. But the actual vacuum itself is the circular dish at the base of the model. You'll see that I'm putting in two brushes at either end of the model, and the reason for that is hopefully those will kind of loosen those bits of debris that are kind of in those gaps within the points, or that's just been stationary for long periods, and hopefully allow the vacuum to collect those bits up as well. You do need a decoder for this device if you are using it on DCC like me. I've got mine set to address number 3, and I've got the vacuum on just over half power. And as a pre-warning, it is considerably louder than what you're hearing it in this video. But yeah, I don't fancy deafening my audience today with it. But yeah, as you can see, I'm using just my hand to move the device up and down in these sidings. It's much more efficient. It takes ages to do this with a locomotive. As much as people might want to do it for realism, this is anything but realistic, having a giant vacuum on a railway. And I apply the same logic at Queensbury Station. It's just far more easier to guide the track cleaner up and down both lines. So yeah, no need to use a locomotive for this. But around the loop, I'm using the 08 shunter. I'm going to push it forward on the outer loop and then run it the opposite direction on the inside loop. So here we go, let's see it go round. Okay, moment of truth. So this is about 6 weeks worth of dust. Let's see what it picked up. Oh, you can see there all the dust in the corner. A little bit of debris as well from the trees. I can see a big long hair as well. Obviously that's going to be one of mine. And there's some stuff in the bottom as well. So yeah, brilliant device. Does exactly what it says on the tin. And now I'm ready for some polish. So I've decided not to polish the rails today. I'm just going to clean them. So I've put a cleaning strip on and taken the vacuum off with the little tool that you get. I'm also going to put the alcohol solution into the top part. Now you've got to be careful with this because this type of alcohol, the isopropyl, will actually take the paint off the model. So you need to be really careful. My hand has done a brilliant job at covering up me using the syringe, but yeah. And compared to the vacuuming, which I do for around 5 or 6 laps, this I do for a solid 15 minutes on both loops. And that's to give the solution time to work its way into the front brush, and hopefully it will be enough to deposit onto the rails and clean them. And while that is going round, I took the opportunity to service Black Prince. I've been meaning to do this for a while since I retired it from the layout for this year. And I'm only going to service the front of the train, so the main driving wheels and the pony wheel at the front. It is good practice, especially with the pickups in the tender, to do the tender wheels as well. However, my wheels were not particularly dirty. And yeah, you can see by the amount of black stuff that is coming off those wheels how important it is to service them. And with the nature of using cotton buds, sometimes these can get caught just on the axles. So with some tweezers, I just removed the loose strands of hair. I then used the thin lubricant oil to do all of the axles and make them nice and movable. These were okay when I first took a look at them, but it's nice to give them a little bit of a freshen up. I would recommend a thicker solution for the gear train. Next, it's time to clean the pickups, and again, I just use the cotton buds for these. Perfectly fine. If you keep on top of this every 2 to 3 years, there won't be too much muck to get off, so just a light brush will do the trick. And as I put the base keeper plate back on, I just made sure that all the pickups were touching the wheels like they would do if the model was new. And then I cleaned the front bogie wheels, and as you'll see by the amount of black stuff that came off, these actually pick up the most dirt because they are the first thing that goes over the rails as the train goes round. So that was good. And the final thing is to always check the bearings of the wheels just to make sure the base keeper plate is fixed back in the right place and the axles are freely movable, and they were much better actually than before. Then I attached the front bogie back onto the Loco and just gave it a bit of a wiggle just to make sure that was as loose as it needs to be. Flip the Loco over, give it a little bit of a tap just in case there's any loose debris, and a final brush to make it look spick and span ready to run. And with that, track cleaning is now complete. So to make sure that I've cleared all of the solution out, I just use a bit of tissue paper, get right down to the bottom of where it is stored in the model. And yeah, usually if you do 15 minutes for each loop, there isn't too much left at the bottom, but I always put some tissue paper in there just in case, and yeah, just shove it down with the tweezers and then put the lid back on. But as you will see in just a second, the actual device managed to pick up quite a bit of dirt, and that is the beauty about this device, is it can do basically everything you need it to do. And yeah, it's a real pleasure to use, that's for sure. And the last thing to do is use the Peco Track Rubber for areas like the yard, and also areas that the previous device didn't manage to pick up. And I use it for the yard because there's not a lot of quick loco movement that goes on here, so very little deposits are left, so it's perfectly fine in doing the job. And that's it. And that brings us to the end of the video for today, guys. I hope I've given you some little hints and tips on how to maintain your layout and your track, and also service your precious models, because nowadays everything is far more expensive than it used to be, and you know, value for money is hard to find nowadays, especially for brand new things. So keeping your models alive and running and in good working order for many years to come, it will help preserve them, and you'll be able to enjoy them for as long as you want them for. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed today's video, and let me know if you want to see more videos like this. And yeah, I'll try and endeavour to bring them in the future. But for now, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you for a special video on Wednesday. Bye for now, guys. Take care.